Attention gamers, I've been playing this piss-ridden pit of a game for 17 years straight, just marinating in this anger management dropout group of low morons speedrunning plus 23 straight into minus 28s, which if I ask ChatGPT to do the calculations #cancel Rav, he could have hired a mathematician instead. You will see you need a 55% win rate to break even, which is higher than the number Riot likes to keep every champ and player, which in turn results in only Smurfs consistently climbing while the rest of the players descend into madness, becoming the worst version of themselves as they waste an exorbitant amount of their life getting angry at a system that doesn't give a fuck about them. But I've found the solution, and that's to navigate to this section of champs designated for e-girls and e-boys. Can I get a new woo? Pick one that specializes in shieldy things and one that specializes in healy things and take them down south together. Once you see how free this is, you'll be more shocked than Hassan's dog, because the support items that you build are so cheap you don't even need cash. You'll just be like Moist Critical saying save your damn money. Pluto. So here's how it works. You both take this little floating sperm cell, then the mandate is for one of you to build mandate while one or more builds staff of flowing waters. You'll win trades in lane because ADCs do less damage than a foam pool noodle without items, and then late you either funnel each other or the most fed person on your team, who will love you so much because it'll be the first time they've had fun on this game in years. Today I will show you how free this is, but if you are into free shiz and League of Legends, then the GX that sings opera is for you. You see, normal browsers are boring. With less security than TwitchCon, they waste your time more than dodged queues, but not Opera GX. A free browser that doesn't take up valuable PC resources, packed with a free VPN and adblock. It's the only browser that is designed for people who spent a lot of time online. As you know, Worlds is going on, and to be honest, as a Westie I need some incentive to actually care about the snooze fest. BAM introducing exclusive drops on lolesports.com while watching the Worlds final on November 9th, an Opera GX browser that will let viewers claim exclusive in-game loot. Then there's Riot Corner, a hub that you automatically get access to by installing one of the free League mods to your browser that pimps out its design. Riot Corner is the best place to watch tournament matches with dank info schedules and co-streams. All this is free and switching is easy as hell due to the quick import tool that adds all your bookmarks and settings. So use my link below to get access to the exclusive rewards, plus during Worlds you can get 2 months of VPN Pro for free with code Earn Your Legacy. So thank them for the sponsor, and let's get into the supports. Alright, game 1 we are against Misfortune Lux, which typically means in lane I'll be getting more harassed than a streamer at TwitchCon, but these kids seem to forget that karma's a bitch, and in this case a flashy one, as I low-key rip a highlight reel play to get the solo bolo. Then Pretty Pistols thinks her right clicks are going to transform us into dead chicks, but that's where she is wrong, as this early into the game her autos are just a decoration while we have shields, heals and CC to make it a double. We are continuing to treat trades with more hostility than leaders participating in tariff wars. That's a political joke, I just don't know what side it's for, but I'm sure it's enough to piss someone off. But anyways, you can see we welcome a visitor at an inopportune time who learns that double enchanter is quite difficult to succeed in the act of murder. We door-dashed a counter gank who arrives, so while we are digging a grave in the shrubs for the Moon Gooner, our mid is down to share in the fatality-themed festivities. Then you are probably like, that's because it was a 4v2, and to that I say, why don't we let the tables turn, as a demon fish comes down as an appetizer to Dirty Diana, while I almost make MF my bitch before having to back off and settle for this fish getting zapped so hard I almost called him Kaya. They are clearly frustrated and unable to process their emotions because they are League players, so I know if I keep letting them see me on my deathbed they will stick around hoping to pull the plug, but the only plug here is the butt plug that my jungler will be inserting up their a-holes while I hold the camera. As you may know, in this elo players are actually magnetic to skill shots, but a little double funnel is fin to make this Jax feel fantastic after eating just about every no-no in the zip code. We then freely give Diana a setup that typically is followed by her waking up in wet sheets, but the power of 2 enchanters is shown here, as what should have been the fail of a century now turns into the beginning of a Jax becoming 1v9 status. You can see in plain sight that nothing about my gameplay is anything but agonizing to watch, but I have a pocket healer in the form of floating sashimi to essentially negate all the cooldowns that were just spent on me, and then thanks to the 2 wards in my ball sack I'm surprised as shit to see Dirty D, but there's not an ice cube's chance in hell she will be killing anyone in the presence of me and the mermaid, just elo inflating ourselves through these fights, as all we have to do is cuff the balls of the teammates we got fed, and voila, this is League in 2025. We continue breaching the base while I continue deep-throating skill shots more than insert analogy of OnlyFans whore here, but the fact that a Lux and Fizz full combo de Wombo isn't enough to permanently pause my heartbeat is enough to show the value that this strategy can bring to garbage trash-ass players of this game like myself. In fact, the only time I died that game was when instead of just hitting the Nexus like someone trying to climb, I just marinated in the danger zone looking for more clips on this video, which did end up getting my team wiped like a post-shit butt crack, but in the end it didn't matter. Because the movement speed and the steroids that we could inject into any of our coworkers meant they'd be getting picked like a toddler's nose. Akshan gave us a 5-star review in chat as we pushed in as he continued limit testing as we continue spamming our e-girl abilities on him, and with it we had an absolutely easy stomp against a Lux who started off the game by doubting my identity. The next game started the same exact way, this time with some butt cheek pucker required moments early, but I will say it feels nice as shit to be able to extend fights and bait enemies in early, especially when the damage output between an ADC and an enchanter in the first few minutes of the game is relatively close. Come to think of it, the only time we lost in all the games we did this was that one time where 14 minutes into the game we failed at contesting a dragon while our top laner flat out walked into them after the dragon was already dead as if he was blind IRL just like his champion, only to flame us and immediately leave the game. But hey, it's not like you run into one of those like 30% of the time. The last example shows the true carry power of these picks, but I would like to briefly shout out my second channel. League content is slowly dying for me, but because of my demographic I feel forced to only upload this game, but if you want more RAV commentary that isn't necessarily League, it could be variety or drama slop, honestly whatever I feel like posting without worrying about views, RAV Rambles is where that will continue. Anyways, in this one you can see we don't mind taking shitty trades early because fish tits here can just top us off right after, but the second I hit 3 you already know I'm sperm tethering myself to that dragon tadpole because my route is the alley to a Nami bubble zoop, and then Ignite gives us that early pressure to all in. You'll see this strategy is pretty IQ proof as it boils down to just auto running at them like your number lock key got stuck in hardcore WoW, but the execution here is shitty at best as we fail to carbonate a stationary target, but thanks to Janna's inability to stop, drop and roll we still get another easy kill. Then our mid comes down, and with this comp we can almost guarantee that her visit will be worthwhile as we give her a condom for her protection and a bit of booger sugar to chase down the Disney looking champion. We're continuing to get cocky down here, knowing there's almost no counterplay to our bullshit at this point in the game, but when I see Wednesday Addams lock onto Nami I'm the first one to say hey, I don't know that bitch at all, and if I have one regret in life I would say it was that moment, because she probably would have survived to tell her little koi fish grandbabies the story one day had I stayed. That said, it didn't matter because low elo 101 is getting a champ like Akali or Zed fed and watch the mental fortitude of the enemy team wither, and that's exactly what I did. At one point they were getting all a ram in this bitch status and I was looking less healthy than a Red Bull addict with a fib, but I knew if I could stick around long enough to ult buff a shield I would at a minimum get free assist Gs for these kills. #enchanter living. Once laning phase is over and I have 2 items I don't need more cash, there will be no Raid Shadow Legends ads from this point forward in the game. I can follow around my carries and just live off the fat of the land, which is exactly what I did. And from their perspective I'm sure having AP buffed shields and a shit ton of movement speed has so much blood flowing to their urethra you'd think they just popped a Cialis. Anyways, these picks encourage a playstyle of collaboration, which explains why it looks like our team is grouping while any enemy team continues looking like your standard solo queue experience, aka 5 people doing their own thing. It turns out their jungler automated Annie is a bit fed and she built optimally for this comp with more magic resist than a David Blaine hater, but it's still not enough to turn the color off on my screen. Anytime she even thinks about touching my Nami I demonstrate how Twitch security should behave in situations like this, and when this repeat offender clearly doesn't learn her lesson I issue more than a measly 30-day ban, which also results in me being on a rampage. At this point we are strutting into the base like we own the place and the enemy just pays rent, all while AFK Annie is trying to be a tenant of a dead Nami corpse, but once again we prove that her healing plus the ridiculous AP scaling on my shields is not ideal for her decision to ult into our team this game. Long story short, we did fuck up and basically leash the enemy team an Elder Drake, which meant this next team fight would be bumped up to mythic difficulty as we were all essentially working with only 70% of our health pool and Zed dove in like a brain dead moron. Timo, who I haven't introduced to you yet, was also born deficient in the thinking department, which meant it was just me, Nami Akali, and a dream against a bunch of elder buffed buffoons. Luckily we also had the ball cuffing funnel cake kits that are heavily buffed from cheap ass items, so after a bit of in and out like a fast food restaurant, and we pulled off quite the defense. I close out games worse than a comma closes out sentences. That's a grammar pun. I'm such a fucking loser, comma. But at least I had some McNasty burst to go along with my shields and speed up, so after a few not so friendly games of patty cake we decided that this particular Elder Drake would be ours. This of course was met with a level of thoughtless aggression that you only see from League players at this shithole rank, but with speed boosts and shields it quite honestly is just the most effective way to play the game. So with that I think I'll be experimenting a lot more with double enchanter bot lanes, because outside of this shit being fun, it's been winning me a lot more ranked games at my terrible rank than playing a right click chick down here. Check out my Rav Rambles channel. Rav out.